Welcome. British Airways has made known plans of switching London-Accra-London services from the Heathrow Airport to Gatwick Airport in the forthcoming summer of June. The airline has been reticent on the reasons for its actions. However, the Aviation Ministry of Ghana opposed such an idea. KK Apiedu is a member of the Aviation Sector Advisory Board at the ministry, and he's given the reasons why.
The Aviation Ministry has, in a circular, rejected the announcement by British Airways
At the end of the day, the answers that they gave us were based on research that they claim that they have done, which subjected Ghana being moved to Gatwick from Heathrow. We also asked them to provide us with evidence of this research, which would substantiate their decision that they made. We asked them at the end of the day if they had also subjected Nigeria and any other African state to this move, and their answer was an equivocal no. So Ghana is the only country that they're moving to Gatwick from the British Airways terminal in Heathrow. Based on that, we thought that the evidence that they were giving us was not adequate enough. We've asked them to provide us with other information, which they have not done so at this point, and as such, we cannot accept such a change, which would inconvenience a lot of Ghanaian travelers who were going to the United States and other points thereof.
Let's stay on this development story, especially when the former Aviation Ministry has been responding to this development under the Transport Ministry.
The Aviation Ministry has, in a circular, rejected the announcement by British Airways to switch London-Accra-London services from Heathrow Airport to Gatwick Airport. What this means for Ghanaian travellers to the UK is that all London-Accra-London bound BA flights will originate and terminate at the London Gatwick Airport. This starts in the forthcoming summer of June. The ministry has revealed that British Airways went ahead with this move without any consultation with Government of Ghana. To this end, the Aviation Ministry has begun discussions with British Airways to rescind their decision, calling on the airline to, quote, respect the position of the Government of Ghana and uphold the mutual interest of both countries, unquote. Meanwhile, we await the response from British Airways and Government of Ghana as discussions begin on this developing story. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
And of course, I am stressing the message from government to British Airways. Of course, it stated in their response that Government of Ghana does not support the stance of British Airways, and the Ministry of Aviation is engaging the British Airways authorities to rescind their decision and respects the position of the Government of Ghana and uphold the mutual interest of both countries. Already, this development has generated debate in the aviation space, as some experts believe that Government of Ghana does not and should not dictate to British Airways on how to operate. The former Chief Operations Officer of Africa World Airlines, Shawn Mendes, feels that Ghana is being petty over this issue. Reacting to the development on LinkedIn, he says, you can see on the screen there, why does Government of Ghana think that they know better than any private business what's in their mutual interest? After all, the track record of the government-owned national airlines hasn't exactly been stellar. I would have expected better from a government that has drawn accolades in recent history for being very supportive of private sector initiatives in aviation. That was his response there earlier on LinkedIn. He joins us via Zoom for more on this and other issues, especially when this could have an impact on travels, not just in Ghana, but also in the UK. Shawn, we're so grateful that you joined us. Why is this not a big deal?
Thanks for having me, Charles. No, I won't necessarily say it's not a big deal. I think from a consumer perspective, it actually might be a positive for Ghanaian consumers. It's certainly a big deal for British Airways because they are making a very strategic move over here where they are shifting their focus for Ghana operations away from transit passengers, rather towards passengers between Ghana and the UK. And that's why I actually believe it could be a positive for Ghanaian travelers. Historically, British Airways traffic to and from Ghana has only been around 50% of that traffic at most. In fact, some years it's been lower, have been traveling between Accra and London. The rest are transit passengers primarily to North America. BA has struggled to compete head-to-head in this Accra to London market, mainly because their price, the market is very price sensitive. A lot of passengers traveling, especially from the Ghana end and the Ghanaians in the UK, will choose the lowest price options. And BA has had an average fare in this market that's more than double the market average. So they've struggled there, and they've had a market share that is about 10% lower than you'd expect it to be, since they're the only non-stop operator. As a result, if they are able to move the service to Gatwick, there are significantly lower passenger taxes at Gatwick relative to Heathrow, so that's straight up a savings directly into the passenger's pocket. There are lower operating costs at Gatwick, and as a result, that could result in lower fares. And again, with less connecting traffic, that means passengers traveling just between Accra and London will have access to more seats and more non-stop capacity. So this can actually be a positive for passengers in respect of services between Accra and London.
But, government of Ghana is clearly not happy about the whole situation, despite the fact that BA made this intention much more of a unilateral way. But you rightly stated it's going to mean so much money for the Ghanaian traveler. But moving forward, what do you think could be the impact this could have on Ghana's aviation space?
Well, to be honest, I don't think government should be in a position of dictating to private companies, and especially foreign private companies, how they should operate. I think that sets a very dangerous precedent and is actually possibly going to discourage other airlines of being innovative or commencing service to Ghana if the terms of their service, or they will face resistance from the government on the type of service they want to run. Remember, the flights by international airlines to Ghana are governed by treaties, bilateral air services agreement. And the bilateral air service agreement between Ghana and the UK very specifically says that there shall be that there's no grounds for a prior approval of schedules or fares. The airlines are fully able to use their own commercial interests when determining this. And for the government to now step into this, it raises questions. I don't think it's raising alarms yet, but it definitely raises questions as to whether this is a change in government of Ghana's policy to become more interventionist and to try and dictate to foreign carriers how they should operate.
Well, very much solid points there. But Sean, we're having this discussion on the wake of us not knowing the real reasons behind British Airways' decision to move it from Heathrow to Gatwick. They're yet to give out a response to this effect, but you are an expert. Can you deduce the main reasons why this happened?
Well, I think the biggest reason for this is, as I mentioned earlier, transit traffic has what's driven their Accra to London route, about half the volume on that route. And transit traffic right now has effectively dried up or nearly dried up. The US has a ban on traffic entering the US, which has transited the UK other than US citizens. There is restrictions on travel to Canada. Those have been the two largest markets for transit traffic through the UK into North America. Additionally, North American carriers, Delta has increased their frequencies to Ghana. United is entering the Ghana market in May. I think British Airways might quite be looking at that market saying, look, we're going to struggle to compete for the transit traffic at the fares that we've been used to with these new entrants coming in and with the restrictions on transit. Passengers in the pandemic times have shown a preference for non-stop flights more. We've traditionally lost the battle for Accra to London traffic, to KLM, to Brussels Airlines, to TAP Portugal, Turkish, etc. But maybe now this is the opportunity to target this. Gatwick is actually a very good airport. I think a lot of people in Ghana keep thinking of Gatwick from 15 to 20 years ago as a poor stepchild of Heathrow. But that has changed since Gatwick was divested by BA in 2009. The new ownership invested significantly into Gatwick, and it's now a major airport in its own right. It moves 46 million passengers a year. That's 20 times the size of Kotoka International Airport in Accra. So it's a humongous airport and has humongous levels of connection. And we've seen that the traditional Ghanaian catchment area where people travel to Ghana from the London area is actually 60-40 weighted in favor of Gatwick rather than Heathrow, just simply where people live and where the rail and public transport connections are. Gatwick has much better rail links and a larger catchment area, which may not mean much for the elite who have cars and pick them up at the airport, but for regular travelers who have to rely on public transport to get to and from the airport, that's a big difference. So I think the key here is that British Airways is going to focus more on traffic between London and Accra rather than Accra to New York and Washington and Houston via London Heathrow. And that's, I think, what's really driving this decision. Whether it works or not, I think time will tell. But, they're a private business and they should have the right to take these risks for either their benefit or loss rather than having a foreign government dictate to them how they should run their business.
But yet again, others could argue, Sean, that this is of mutual, benefit to both parties. So that for us to even have the government of Ghana insist that they are not, agreeing to British Airways' decision, begs so many questions. I just want to place you on the role of a mediator here. If you are to mediate this particular issue, from your perspective, what particular role do you think government would have to take in this development?
I think that the government is unnecessarily getting involved. I'd recommend to the government that if they really wanted to see services from Heathrow, they need to incentivize British Airways to do that. And that could mean reduction in certain fees on the Ghana side and so forth. But once again, that begs the question, what, is that then giving into, to threat? Would KLM tomorrow start asking for the same kind of discounts and so forth? And, it starts a slippery slope. I think the best thing that the government is successful, the Ghanaian consumer will benefit from it. And if it is not successful, British Airways, again, can reverse this just as easily for the winter schedule.
Well, we'll have to see how things pan out. But Sean, we're so grateful that you joined us with this particular analysis on British Airways' decision to move services, Accra-London, Accra services from Heathrow Airport all the way to Gatwick Airport. Already we're having government respond to this, vehemently rejecting the offer by British Airways, saying that it does not form a line of mutual interest and the agreement that both countries have when it comes to air travels. But we shall be keeping an eye on this to give you updates as and when we do have them, especially as this could really impact relationships between both parties in the future. But away from that, the cedi will be fairly stable against the dollar this year. That's the firm assurance from the Bank of Ghana, and this is despite some projections it would rise by a significant margin to major trading currencies. George Riafi has been engaging the regulator and has come through with this report.
The assurance follows projection by the Economic and Finance think tank, that is the Center for Economics, Finance and Inequality Studies, that the local currency will face some challenges this year after enjoying some firm stability against the dollar in 2020.
Last year, the sterling performance of the cedi is based on the decision taken by BOJ to go with the forward forex auction, which is a strategy to invite treasurers to bid for dollars ahead of time based on their forecast projections. But the issue is, will the central bank be committed to pumping this amount of dollars or forex onto the market? That is what we are looking at.
But the Bank of Ghana says with a strong dollar reserve position, that would help them intervene adequately to meet market demand, as well as its forward sale of dollars program to meet the demand of businesses that don't need dollars right now, but in the future. They believe that the city's position would not worsen or get into a very troubling state to reach 6 Ghana cedis, 45 pesos by the end of this year. The bank argues that some of these programs will deal with the activities of speculators and people who don't actually need dollars right now. The Bank of Ghana believes that they can depend on their reserves together with other monetary measures to strongly stabilize the Ghana cedi for this year. The central bank even believes that, based on some internal analysis, the local currency may even perform far better than what we witnessed in 2020. The central bank has said they want to see these as mere projections, but assure businesses that that will not be the real situation on the ground going forward. The regulator argues that the same worst predictions were made about the Ghana cedi for last year, but it actually ended posting one of its best performance against the dollar in recent times. The report also raised issues about our fiscal situation being the main cause of the cedi's depreciation for this year. But government, on the other hand, tells Joy Business they are now even in a better position to check their expenditure after an election and also having implemented most of the COVID-19 related expenditure for last year.
Well, let's now talk about housing and accommodation, because the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association want a practical approach to solving Ghana's 2 million housing unit deficit. Samuel Lamegaibo is Executive Secretary of GREDEP, and he spoke to Joy Business.
If you look at the entire term of the government, nothing much was done in terms of delivery, in terms of numbers of housing on the market. But you realize that we as greater and private developers, we did our best to provide some kind of housing. But you and I understand that when it comes to the cost of some of those houses, it's kind of beyond all of us our reach. But if there is a collaborative effort between government and the private sector, a lot of the cost elements can be discussed, and government could help us, take care of some of those costs to eventually bring the costs of those houses down. But like I said, unfortunately, we couldn't do that. So you had several, ceremonies where the presidents went to cut, launch or commission some affordable housing projects. Some of it were done by even greater members. But in terms of numbers, you realize that nothing significant was achieved. But if we can build on what has been done, then that is fine. One of the means of selling houses is through mortgage. And one of our hurdles also is the cost of mortgage to many people. So I think it was a brilliant effort by the government to intervene on that aspect and initiated a pilot project where they were able to come out with a product that was about half interest rate of about half of what would have secured from the ordinary market. The only caveat to that intervention is that it is initially for the public sector. And I find that also a bit problematic because all of us are paying taxes. So if there's an initiative that should benefit Ghanaians in general, and it's only the public sector that should benefit, I also thought that is a problem. Since it is called a pilot, it means that there will be opportunities. If it comes out to be successful, it will open up for other people to also participate in it, and all of us can benefit.
And still on housing issues, these are challenging moments for students at various universities, especially the University of Ghana, where landlords are taking advantage of the hostel crisis there to make more money. My colleague Nicholas Brown has been engaging some students on the Legon campus, and he's come through with this report.
Yeah, 4 in a room.
4 in a room?
Yes, please.
So each of you is paying 1,200?
Yes.
How do you feel about it?
They have been saying that renting a hostel around campus is costly, so I take it to be a normal thing, but I seem to be a cheat, Yeah.
Why do you think it's a cheat?
How can 4 people in a room pay 1,200 each? Making 4,800. It's not easy. If it were to be maybe 3,000, that one is manageable.
Interesting. Now, this private hostel that you found outside campus, how much is it costing you?
Some is 1,500 for 4 in a room.
1,500 for 4 in a room.
Yes.
And a semester. All right. So, how many weeks in a semester?
We are doing only 6 weeks. The level 100 students are doing only 6 weeks. Yes.
Interesting. So you are 4 in a room and you are paying for 1,500 each person.
Yes, per semester, yes.
So, how do you feel about this pricing thing? How do you feel about the price?
It's expensive though, but you have to take it like that. Because if you don't take it, where will you stay?
I believe you're also in this hostel. What level are you in?
Level 100.
Okay. So why didn't you get any of the hostels or, accommodations, halls on campus, and you decided to come to this private hostel?
Yeah, my admission came in late, so by then all the halls on campus were full. So I had to get an accommodation outside campus. That's the reason why I came here. So a friend recommended this place to me, and I came and I did mine.
So how much are you paying for a semester?
We are paying 1,200.
1,200 for how many weeks?
For 9 weeks.
Okay, so 1,200 per person in a room. How many of you are in a room?
We are 4 in a room.
4 in a room?
Yes, please.
So, interesting. 4 in a room and you are paying 1,200 each?
Yes, please.
Wow. How do you feel about this?
I think it's some kind of a cheat because you see 4 in a room paying 1,200 for just 9 weeks is some kind of, it's not good at all.
So do you feel you are being exploited or whatsoever?
Of course, yes.
So how much are you paying here?
1,500 for a semester.
For a semester, 1,500. And how many of you are in a room? 4 in a room. So each of you, is paying 1,500 for how many weeks in a semester?
Actually, it was 4 months. That's equivalent to 12 weeks in a semester. But because of the double track and the COVID, we are running 9 weeks. That's equivalent to 3 months in a semester. Yes.
So how do you feel about the price, paying 1,500 for just 9 weeks?
I feel those managers and hostel managers are exploiting us, but we just have to take it like that because I stay at Kaswa, and the distance every day, the transportation will cost much than if I come here. So I feel it's okay, but then on the other hand, they are exploiting us, but we have no other option.
You had 1,500 Ghana cedis for just about 3 months in the semester, having to share rooms with 3 other students. Taking into consideration the effects of COVID-19 and the desperation for these students to get themselves a place just to have themselves tertiary education. We shall be following this development story closely to give you updates as we ask authorities the reasons for this, especially when business profits cannot be related to desperation in these uncertain times. But away from that, President Akufo-Addo believes his administration has made much progress in ensuring food security in the country. This is not sitting down well with the Agric Workers Union, who argue that farmers across the country are losing thousands of cedis to post-harvest losses. Of course, Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sori will investigate the value chain of plantain across the country and whether Ghana is food sufficient. Here's his report.
Plantain is a staple crop consumed almost in every home in Ghana. In markets across the country, plantain is always in abundance during the harvest season. At the Techiman market, for instance, traders sometimes sell their plantain at giveaway prices or on credit basis, mainly due to excesses of the food crop on the market. Nana Efia Yeboah sells plantain at wholesale in the Techiman market.
Na ya hawa yukumpa nse niema no ne yakofaba ya ni nyatofo tofo no so eba nyame bua na tofo no so ba omo so tokwa omo ntua obaba beto ama osika be ya mprensa na mprenan na mafa ayonko awi efiri sa amre ko no o mabiu na je sika no wafa wo be twa uhunu bi na ayoka tina ma dwadie no ayabasa tambia kanko na yebo.
Plantain is highly perishable and therefore needs to move quickly once it is harvested and brought to the market. But this does not always happen for wholesalers like Nanefia and Josephine Adai here.
wo kwa na ko akosai be hu na body nyina na bere na kro ayoka body no so nya hankwa na ye di fisehwi na eba e ko fa fisehwi kwa wa papa ye di aba rando ni bi kwa fulo dukia di aba na nto ye na di ana nye kama ebre pa.
In order to break even, traders like Josephine and Nanefia have to try selling their produce in other markets.
Tonti se bana sa yetwa ye de ma e mane wo Burkina Faso biko temele no borga no omukọ a se ye de ne yem fa sika no mai e betena wo sa.
Fortunately for them, while plantain may be in abundance in Ghana, it is not grown in Burkina Faso because the climate there is too harsh. The Ghanaian traders employ the services of cargo truck operators to transport their plantain to Ouagadougou, the Burkinabe capital, for sale. I am here in Ouagadougou to find out what happens when the plantain arrives from Ghana.
So, this is the Sankarere market, one of the markets where Ghanaian plantain is sold here in Ouagadougou, the Burkina Faso capital.
I discover that the common practice is that each trader bringing in plantain from Ghana works with a regular truck driver they can trust, who delivers the plantain to a business partner here in Ouagadougou.
That's how we end Marketplace with me, Charles IHA. It's been a pleasure having you around. We're coming your way same time tomorrow on the Marketplace at 1 p.m. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Good afternoon.